So every time I hear somebody say men are afraid of dying, I have to stop and laugh because that's not the fear. It's not even close. The real fear is waking up every single day to a life that feels like a slow motion prison sentence and knowing that you built the bars yourself. Men aren't scared of the end. We're scared of enduring years, maybe decades, of a miserable existence where every choice is someone else's and our own dignity is traded for scraps of approval. That's the conversation men are having publicly and loudly because we're fed up. We aren't just talking amongst ourselves. We are vocal about just how little incentive there is left to play the roles that society still tells us to play. We are told endlessly that men are afraid of commitment. No, men are afraid of committing to something that stacks against them from day one. Marriage, for example, used to be a role where a man could define himself, right? Husband, father, protector, provider, right? So now that same role is legally fragile, it's socially mocked, and it's treated as if it can be dissolved on a whim. The moment a man isn't fulfilling someone else's definition of good enough, it can all be taken from him. All of it. His kids, his house, his savings, his reputation, his name. And he's still expected to play nice while paying for the privilege. It's not fear of responsibility. Men shoulder responsibility every freaking day. For work, for bills, for family. It's fear of signing on to a contract where you carry 100% of the risk and maybe 20% of the control. When a man is surveying his options today, here's what he's seeing. By the time that many of them are in their 30s and 40s, the available dating pool isn't just smaller, it's shaped by decades of choices they had no part in. Single moms who expect stepdad levels of commitment with zero authority. Divorcees still in litigation with their ex. Women who openly admit they settled and will treat you accordingly. And even in communities that are supposed to be traditional and antithetical to secular culture, like the Catholic community I was a part of for nearly a decade, the dating pool was disappointing, depressing, abysmal. There were women who presented themselves as, committed to the faith, pious, committed to family, but they were flaky, just like secular women. They flaked. They prioritized education or prioritized if they were going to college, their education or their career over building a home. And they did adopt feminist ideologies as well. And they would quickly move on if you didn't fit into their personal mold. And many of the men there were more loyal to institutional approval, whether from their spouse, political leaders, or the church, than to their own principles. They weren't receptive to my ideals about individual sovereignty or my unwillingness to align with political or religious power structures. And because of that institutional mindset, many of them just ignore the risks associated with the family court system entirely. They are convinced that their religious vows give them some form of immunity or advantage. Reality proves otherwise. And then you have what's called expectation inflation. We've got data that shows a huge percentage of women who are rating the vast majority of men as below average in attractiveness. It's statistically impossible, but perception is reality, and perception drives behavior. And then you've got your cultural double standard. So a man's past mistakes are often held against him, especially in family court, even if they're wildly irrelevant. I know that firsthand. And then, a woman's past, no matter how reckless, so it is reframed as growth and experience and finding herself, right? Dude, When men say there's nothing out there, they mean it. There's nothing out there. There's no one out there. There's definitely no one out there worth risking your peace for. That's for sure. And men used to define themselves through male-centric environments because these were places where blunt honesty and competition and hierarchy, they weren't seen as toxic. They were the point. Now most of those spaces have been re-engineered completely to prioritize comfort over results. And sure, in theory, inclusion sounds good, but in practice, the constant policing of tone, ambition, and even humor, it strips out the very things that made those spaces motivating to men in the first place. Just look at gyms. Used to be a reliable male-centered space. Now it's an environment where men are expected to suppress natural instincts while navigating unwritten social rules. You can be focused on your workout and still be accused of inappropriate behavior simply for existing in the same space as someone who decided to take offense to you for some reason, whether real or imaginary. I mean, and because so much of gym culture is now, it now revolves around social media and performative displays, there's a constant tension between what's allowed and what's simply human. What used to be a space for testosterone and training and discipline and camaraderie has turned into yet another environment where men feel like they have to self-censor, have to shrink. If we want male spaces to survive, men will have to start protecting them instead of passively giving ground. I mean, you can still find male camaraderie. It's far and few between, I guess. I mean, it's more underground now, I guess you could say, with maybe some niche hobbies and private online communities, this YouTube channel, gaming squads, whatever, man. I mean, men haven't ever stopped wanting to belong. They've just stopped wanting to belong to systems that demand that they dilute themselves to fit in. In the past, I mean, you could shame men into service, whether it was fighting wars or taking dangerous jobs or marrying quickly to settle down. But there was always at least the promise of respect in return. But today, that respect has been replaced with open mockery. Just look at husbands and fathers and how they're portrayed in commercials and sitcoms. I mean, come on. As bumbling incompetents who need their wife or kids to correct them. I mean, you can't shame a man into signing up for a role where the reward is being treated like a punchline. And yet there has been a shift. Men are opting out of the old scripts. There is a recalibration that's been happening. Some men are formally rejecting marriage and long-term relationships, and others are quietly living that way without labeling it. But I mean, my personal view, while I understand why men go this route, I see how movements on both extremes, whether it's certain strands of MGTOW or feminism, it ends up serving the same larger agenda, which is fewer families, fewer births, and a more fragmented society. And that outcome benefits those who want more control over people's lives. I'm not aligned with that end goal, not at all. I believe that men can reject broken systems without rejecting the idea of building a strong, lasting legacy. I mean, we are seeing men, having more selective investments. So men are pouring effort into, projects, hobbies, businesses, and, friendships with an ROI that's tangible if they can find them. And autonomy as status. I mean, status isn't just about money anymore. It's about freedom. It's about not having a boss that owns your time. It's about not having those golden handcuffs. It's about not having a partner who weaponizes your commitments. No system that can pull the rug out from under you overnight. Men aren't failing to man up. They're refusing to play a rigged game. Men still want connection and intimacy and purpose, but they want it on terms that don't destroy them in the process. They want partnerships where respect goes both ways and disagreements don't trigger threats to their relationship with their kids, and where their contributions are recognized, not minimized. They want spaces where they can be direct without walking on eggshells, where their ambition isn't framed as aggression, and where competence is valued more than compliance. And most of all, they want to live without the constant background anxiety that everything they've built could vanish because someone else simply changed their mind one day. So dying alone, dude, it's not even top 5. Living a life of quiet suffocation and desperation, that's the nightmare. Waking up next to someone who doesn't respect you and working a job that you hate because you have to keep the alimony and child support payments flowing. Swallowing your opinions to keep the peace. Spending years in a home where you're a visitor in your own life. But I want to share something a man commented on one of my videos. He had sent it a few days ago, and I won't name him, but it hit me hard because it's the reality for so many men. I get a lot of these comments like this and emails. Yeah, this guy left a comment and he said, "Hey man, first of all, thank you for your honesty and for your content. I am 47, realizing that my marriage of 18 years is a ship that's about to sink for many of the reasons that you've gone into in your other videos. At work, I am highly respected by my peers. I am a supervisor and have been told by my crew that I am the best supervisor they have ever had. I have had guys move on to other jobs and tell me that later also. I get so much respect at work, it's ridiculous. But then at home, I am an incompetent fool who can't do anything right. I have never been respected by my wife and am realizing that I never will be. So I'm literally just done trying. My kids do respect me. I have 3, ages 12 through 16, and I will continue trying to be the best dad I can to them for the rest of my life. But I'm ready to admit this marriage isn't going to get better because I'm the only one trying to make it better. I am the only one going to counseling. I'm the only one who can and do admit there are some areas I need to improve on and am actively working to improve on, but there is no accountability from my wife. So all that to say, thank you for your content. It has shed some light on why I am not respected by my wife." And he also shared his view on Christianity and, loyal to God, but deeply disillusioned with the modern church, whether Catholic or Protestant. I mean, that's where many men are, not walking away from faith itself, but walking away from institutions that demand loyalty without delivering what they claim to stand for. So, I mean, where does that leave us? I mean, it leaves us with a choice. It leaves us with a choice. You can keep chasing the validation of systems that don't respect you, or you can build a life where your respect for yourself isn't up for negotiation. And that might mean redefining success. It might mean disappointing people who expected you to follow the script. But the alternative is a slow erosion of who you are until you don't recognize yourself anymore. So no, men don't worry about dying alone. They worry about living miserably. And they're finally realizing that they don't have to. If your life feels like a prison sentence, stop playing the role of the prisoner. Be the guy who builds the escape tunnel. And when you break through to the other side, you'll find out that there's less loneliness out here than you've been led to believe.